There are a few benign additives in the dough. Benign tumor. Opposite is malignant. He is a benign and kind-hearted person. She smiled benignly. She is a very biddable little girl. A rise in the number of burglaries committed in the area. Synonym is housebreaking. Burglars broke into the gallery and stole dozens of priceless paintings. Burglar alarm. Burgle or burglarize. They were burgled while they were away. You've done so much work. You're bound to pass the exam. It was bound to happen sooner or later. It means we should have expected it. You're bound to be nervous the first time. When you are dealing with so many things at the same time, mistakes are bound to happen. Bound to is used mainly in spoken English. In written English, people usually use certain to. It is inevitable that instead. We are not bound by the decision. I am bound to say I disagree with you on this point. They are legally bound to appear in court. The factory has been strike-bound for 2 months because of a pay dispute. Fog-bound airports. People who are wheelchair-bound. A desk-bound sergeant. It means having to work in an office, instead of doing a more active job. To be homeward-bound. It means going home. We are Paris-bound. Eastbound trains. A plane bound for Somalia. Where is he bound for? A leather-bound volume of Shakespeare's plays. The dog cleared the gate in one bound. Arab communities bound together by customs and traditions. Be bound up in something. He was too bound up in his own problems to listen to mine. I come here bound and determined to succeed with flying colors this year. Bound up with something. The survival of whales is intimately bound up with the health of the ocean. Feel honor bound to do something. I felt honor bound to inform you what's going on. Well, am bound to say, I think you're taking a huge risk. It means I feel I ought to say. It is duty bound to look after your parents. He'll be bound. Synonym I or he'll warrant you. He had good reasons for doing that. He'll be bound. By or in leaps and bounds. Her health has come on in leaps and bounds. Suddenly a huge dog came bounding towards me. The U.S. is bounded in the north by Canada and in the south by Mexico. You're bound on duty. He felt it was his bounden duty to tell the police what he knew. Bounder is someone who behaves badly. Bounder is old-fashioned, informal. Bound form. Also bound morpheme. A unit of language that can only be used as part of a word, not as a word on its own. For example, lie in slowly. Boundless. Synonym infinite. Boundless energy and enthusiasm. I am afraid your behavior was beyond the bounds of decency. They said that his ideas are beyond the bounds of reason. Consuming sugar should be kept within reasonable bounds. It is not beyond the bounds of possibility that you will succeed with flying colors this year if you study hard. His joy knew no bounds. Out of bounds. His shot went out of bounds. Her demands were out of bounds. A park bench. Sit or serve on the bench. It means to work as a judge or magistrate. The bench also the substitutes bench also the reserve bench. He started the game on the bench. Simpson came off the bench to play in midfield. Benchmark. It means tests at the age of 7 provide a benchmark against which the child's progress at school can be measured. Backbencher. It means an ordinary British member of Parliament who does not have an important official position. The opposite is frontbencher. Benchwarmer. Synonym is substitute. Be bereaved. He was bereaved of his parent. Bereaved family. A bereaved mother. She had suffered 3 bereavements in quick succession. Bereft of hope. Bereft of ideas. He was utterly bereft when his wife died. Her pockets were bulging with presents. His eyes bulged. Be bursting or bulging at the seams. Our small house was bulging at the seams. That skirt's too tight. It shows all your bulges. A bulge in the birth rate. The gun made a bulge under his jacket. Bulging eyes. Narrow beams of sunlight. The beam of a torch or flashlight. A laser beam. The car's headlights were on full beam. Synonym high beam. My head struck against the beam. Balance beam. A beam of satisfaction. Off beam. Informal. Your explanation is way off beam. The baby beamed at me. She beamed with pleasure. Live pictures of the ceremony were beamed around the world. The sun beamed through the clouds. Smile or grin or beam from ear to ear. He was beaming from ear to ear. Broaden the beam. A high-beamed ceiling. He blurted the news out before I could stop him. Bigotry. Synonym: prejudice. A religious bigot. Racist bigot. A bigoted man. Synonym is prejudiced.